Hi, I'm Mary Abrams, Deacon at St. James Episcopal Church in Pewee Valley. It's good to be home back in Louisville. I'm sad I can't be with you in person, but thank you for joining me as I share some of my thoughts today about today's gospel. I don't know why it still surprises me that when I read the gospel, it seems to be speaking to whatever the current situation is. But it happened again today. Today we read the story of the walk to Emmaus, a story of how new life can be found in the midst of chaos. Try to imagine yourself walking down that dirt road. It's the evening of the day the tomb was found empty, Easter Day. You're walking with a friend and talking about Jesus, his life, his teachings, his works, and the events of the last week. His arrest, the way he was beaten, his crucifixion and burial in a tomb, and your new information that you just discovered that his body was found missing. You have 7 miles to go, so you have plenty of time to talk and to wonder. There are many questions and confusing thoughts. Where is his body? Who could have taken it? How could this have happened? What do we do now? You express your feeling of fear and loss of dreams and expectations. You had hoped that this Jesus was the one who would save Israel. The Israelites had been waiting many years for the Messiah, the one who would lift up the lowly and feed the hungry with good things. Many, including you, had thought that Jesus was the one, but now your hopes and dreams are gone. This may not be too hard to imagine right now. The Emmaus Road is one we often find ourselves on. It's a road of lost dreams, failures, questions, fear, much like the current day situation we found ourselves in. We know how this gospel story ends. Jesus joins them, and eventually it is revealed to these followers who Jesus is. They finally understand that Jesus is the Messiah that they've been waiting for. What we can learn from this story is that Jesus is with us also on our road to Emmaus. We know that Jesus was drawn to the sick and the needy, those who are broken and scared, and Jesus is with us now. We are meeting him on this road of self-isolation, of fear of the future and what life would be like when we come out of this chaos, fear of a new way of being. I think we may be getting a glimpse of our new life after pandemic, and if I'm right, we could be pleasantly surprised. I'm thinking of Bishop Curry's way of love. We were introduced to this rule of life and its 7 practices last year. Debbie Stover led a discussion series using this book by Mary B., Living the Way of Love. The 7 practices that Bishop Curry identifies as the way Jesus led his life and taught others how to follow his commandment to love one another. During this time of physical distancing, we have had the opportunity to refine our commitment to the way of life. I'd like to take a few minutes to review the 7 practices of Jesus and reflect on how I see them being followed during this pandemic. The first practice is turn. It means to turn away from our prejudices, our past resentments, and behaviors that prevent relationship, and turn toward Christ and his path towards loving one another. In isolation, we have been forced to give up some of our busyness that have kept us from family and friends. We have had more opportunity to turn toward the needs of others. We, particularly those of us who don't have a house full of children, might have had more time to spend on reading Scripture and have found new ways to learn. I was able for the first time to attend Elizabeth's Bible study through Zoom. Prayer and worship are two others of the practices. These have been at our fingertips throughout this time with the use of social media. I have seen many priests and deacons and laity leading worship on Facebook and YouTube. It has introduced us to new forms of liturgy and new ways to worship. It seems to me that our focus is now on others. Physical distancing and self-isolation is in itself a way of caring for others. We have seen many ways that people are blessed daily and giving blessings. People singing from their balconies in Italy. Family members visiting their loved ones through their nursing home windows. Crowds cheering for the medical staff at shift changes at hospitals. Hospital staff cheering for recovering patients as they return home. Neighbors placing a roll of toilet paper in neighbors' mailboxes. Offering to make grocery and pharmacy runs for those who cannot risk going out. There are really too many stories of people blessing one another and going into dangerous ways to help others to list them all. And finally, the last practice is rest. The practice that many of us found the most difficult. We have discovered that rest can be redemptive. Going for a walk, talking with friends, using our gifts are ways of renewing ourselves so that we have the energy and spirit to love others. Molly, my daughter-in-law, and I have been crocheting these mask extenders. The elastic of the face mask can rub your ears wrong, and these allow a way to keep the elastic off the ears. They've been eagerly received by medical personnel. Disciples discovered on the road to Emmaus that Jesus could be and is alive again, and that God's work that began in Jesus could go on among us, his followers. A rule of life, like the way of love, is to intentionally take time to be with God daily and to try to follow in Jesus' path. Your life can be like that of a flower, turning towards the sun and his way of loving others. I believe we have learned new ways to follow in Jesus' path, and I pray that we will continue in those ways when we come out on the other side of this crisis. Thank you.